majority of the world is humans are not psychopaths. Majority of them are logical creatures. And so our discussion about what is it to be a just individual or a just corporation or just state, it is underscored by the fact that we are talking about a rational being.
Yeah.
And not an irrational being.
Yeah, we're not talking about the outliers. I keep bringing to the outliers of the extremes here, but that's a good distinction there.
So now when we talk about a rational individual is one, and there are many definitions of it, but the highest definition of this is someone who knows the difference between good and evil. Now, a rational individual knows the difference. The just individual chooses to do good, right? The unjust individual chooses to do evil. I think the same thing is true for a corporation.
Yeah. No.
When it comes to the state, because the state is formed voluntarily, as it is being formed, those decisions are made. The people who form the state are considered rational individuals. They know what is good and evil, and if they choose evil, they create an unjust state. If they choose good, they create a just state. It is a choice. What do you think about that?
It brings up an interesting thought, as you mentioned that, which is, the idea of a two-party system that we have now is not something that was encouraged. I don't remember who said that, which famous thought leader had said, don't set up a two-party system because it'll never work. It'll tear apart the country. But I wonder if we actually are set up in a just state now, or if we're actually living in an unjust state at times where there's a shift away from democratic states across the world, right? There's more autocratic nations that have come into play. The percentage is there. And I actually just read an article about this, that there's an increase in autocratic, right, in autocratic states. But the idea around setting up the system in the state to be just, and it's set up by just individuals, even at the time that the U.S. was set up, I think there's the ideal, and then there's reality. I mean, the system was set up by slave owners with these philosophical ideals in place, and even the philosophers who were talking about this were slave owners. So it's interesting how maybe that's what were we saying about Aristotle being elitist? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And this is kind of an example of that. Like, isn't it nice for me to say, as the white man, like, oh, we live in a just society?
Yeah.
And that I get, it's easy for those who, for the majority, to be able to say that and have different privileges that the others don't have and don't experience.
Yeah. So see, that is the just state concept, and I do agree with you that states can change, but the opposite is also true, that rather than devolving into a tyrannical state, there is a version where a state can actually ascend into a philosophical constitution as well. And what that requires is for each individual in that state to be given the opportunities to be able to self-actualize, to be able to become wise. And for that, one has to have those bottom layers of that Maslow's hierarchy met. Majority of the population should have access to good health, education, social security, relationships, all of that. Then they could ascend into this space where everybody can then be rational beings who know the difference between good and evil, and they end up choosing good each time. That is what Aristotle is trying to say when he says a just republic. Plato believes that it is not possible for you and me to go out there and change the third person. All we can do is change ourselves, and if everybody in a republic changes themselves to be this rational being, then you will have, in effect, a rational republic, a rational state. I think the same thing is true for a corporation. A corporation is just like an individual.
Yeah.